Life hasn't been easy for Huawei since it ended up on the US's naughty list 2 years ago, cutting it off from Google, Qualcomm and other US technologies. Phones like the Mate 30 and P40 were great, but difficult to recommend if you relied on any Google services. Nevertheless, in 2021, Huawei is pushing ahead with the P50 series, the latest in its photography-centric line of phones. These are going to be milestone devices for Huawei because they'll be the first to not run Android. The P50 series will instead use Huawei's own HarmonyOS 2.0, which is technically different but still capable of running Android apps. From what we've seen so far from leaked HarmonyOS builds running on the Mate 40 Pro, the core look and feel hasn't changed a whole lot since the previous EMUI 11, though we can see a redesigned quick settings panel and an iOS-style app library feature, plus some pretty neat expandable widgets. Essentially, Huawei is free to do whatever it wants with HarmonyOS, and from this it appears they're leaning into much more of an iPhone-like design language. Despite not technically being an Android phone, you can still expect the same level of Android app compatibility as any recent Huawei phone, which is to say stuff will generally work, but obviously there's no Play Store, and apps that rely on Google Play services might misbehave. The best information we have on the Huawei P50 and P50 Pro comes from CAD renders created by the generally reliable OnLeaks. For both devices, you're looking at a familiar curved glass front and back panel with a hole-punch camera, though this time relocated to the center of the panel. It's also interesting to note the lack of a double-space selfie shooter this time around, unlike the P40 Pro, with Huawei apparently settling for a single front facer. Also revealed in these renders is an IR blaster on the top frame, go figure. Around the back is where things really get interesting though. Both P50 phones feature this enormous double-spaced camera module, and at present no one really knows what Huawei's going to do with its new camera system. The P-series has often been used to showcase new imaging technology in Huawei phones, so one possibility is the rumored 1-inch Sony IMX800 sensor occupying at least one of those gigantic camera bulges. And if the rumors are accurate, this would be the largest sensor in any smartphone. These CAD renders would seem to contradict this leaked image of an apparent P50 prototype that leaked back in late 2020. Assuming it's not just the result of simple fakery, it's possible we're looking here at an earlier design for that big old camera module. However, I wouldn't put too much faith in case makers' interpretations of how the actual cameras themselves will look, nor in plastic dummy units which claim to show more details of the phones. We've seen photos of these leak out online in recent days. Dummy units like this one are easy to come across in China, they're not always made by the manufacturer, and don't necessarily tell you anything reliable. With a phone like the P50, an excellent main camera is table stakes. What's going to be more interesting is what happens with those secondary cameras, the ultra-wide, which got a significant upgrade in last year's phones, and the telephoto. In 2020, only Huawei's Pro Plus phones got 10x super telephoto capabilities, with other models maxing out at a 5x optical. And with the Galaxy S21 Ultra bringing some serious heat with 3x and 10x zoom capabilities, Huawei's top-end cameras will need to do something special in order to compete. The main area to build on, I think, is autofocus and low light quality with those secondary cameras. Last year's P40 Pro Plus had some incredible zoom capabilities, but it struggled with hand motion and clarity in darker scenes, especially when you compare it to the latest Samsung flagship of this year. It'll also be interesting to see how selfie performance is balanced with the move to a single front-facing camera this time around. In terms of processing power, we'd expect the P50 series to be powered by the same homegrown Kirin 9000 chipset as the Mate 40, even though Huawei is sitting on an apparently very finite supply of these chips, as US restrictions stop it from manufacturing any more of them. Other core specs remain to be seen, and there haven't been any reliable leaks yet on RAM, storage, or battery capacity. Huawei has been relatively conservative when it comes to all three in the P-series in recent years, instead choosing to compete on price and photographic prowess. At the very least, we should probably expect the same 66-watt super-fast wired charging that debuted in the Mate 40 Pro, along with a likely bump up to 120Hz display in line with current Android flagships. But we may need to wait a little longer than you might think for the Huawei P50 and P50 Pro, even though the P40 series is now more than a year old. According to reliable Huawei leaker Rodent 950, the devices are set to break cover in late June. The P50 Pro Plus, which, if history is any indicator, may be the only model to offer that coveted 10x super zoom, may also be delayed further into the summer according to the same tipster. So, would you be tempted by the Huawei P50 Pro and its possibly revolutionary camera hardware? Or would you be put off by the lack of Google compatibility and potential app difficulties? Let us know down in the comments, and be sure to subscribe to Android Central so you don't miss our hands-on coverage. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.